Brilliant detective work by just one man has proved that a single grubby little ship, flying a flag of convenience, is slaughtering great numbers of undersized whales in forbidden waters. Working by stealth, the ship earns an estimated $1.5 million to $2 million profit a year for its owners. She is killing hundreds of whales every year, decimating the stocks of humpback, fin, sperm, killer, and blue whales off the North African and Portuguese coasts. Now, the whale chaser Sierra has been caught in the act of transferring a cargo of newly caught whale meat to Japanese freighters for shipment to Japan. The ship's activities, now that they are exposed, embarrass South Africa, from where she operates, Britain, who insures her, and Norway, who provided her harpoons and whaling equipment. Most of all, they acutely embarrass the world's largest commercial whaling nation, Japan. Stories about an undercover whaling ship going cowboy hunting had been circulating for some time. Greenpeace, the anti-whaling and conservation group, even named her last year. But nothing was sure until a whale enthusiast decided last summer to find out the truth for himself. Paul Brown based his search on logic and thoroughness.
His first thought was, who are the professionals at tracing ships? Lloyd's, of course. He approached them as any commercial client would and paid the necessary fees of several £100s to become a recipient of their information. He first asked them if the Sierra, registered in Cyprus, was on their computer. She wasn't, so he asked if they would put her on. This meant that all Lloyd's agents would be told to report if the Sierra came into port, when, where, and what she was doing. That was in August 1978. By October, Paul Brown began to get a list of the Sierra's movements. But he needed more than that. Therefore, he asked the Lloyd's computer to run a program of refrigerated cargo freighters to see if one of them kept coinciding with the Sierra. None of them did. Paul Brown thought again and asked Lloyd's a different question. Did the Sierra's movements into port ever match with any Japanese refrigerated cargo carriers of more than 10,000 tons? He began to get a printout of 40, 50 ships. He still had to tie it down further. He reasoned that he would have to catch the Sierra when she was transferring her whale meat, if she had any, and that therefore a cargo ship would be expected to be hanging around in a port for a few days, waiting for her. So he asked Lloyd's to tell him if any of the 40 or 50 ships in the North Atlantic was sitting idle in port for more than 5 days, on the assumption she had a rendezvous with the Sierra.
He took a room in a hotel with a good view of the bay. He began to study the dock gates to see which was lightly guarded. Dressing in old clothes, growing a beard, and wearing a big hat, he went down to the docks every day, passing himself off as a fisherman. After a few days fishing, no one gave him a second glance. 13 days after he arrived, the Yamato reefer moved from the bay into the harbor. Brown saw it was time for action. He rushed down to the dock, and as he was sitting in his usual place, the Sierra came right past him, just feet away. From the dockside fishing place, Paul Brown began to take a remarkable series of photographs. On the day after the Sierra came in, he chartered a pilot boat and took more pictures from the boat's cabin roof. What the pictures showed was the Yamato reefer lowering her cranes and winches, to transfer loads of cargo, each containing about 170 wrapped packs, from the decks of the Sierra. But a crew member became suspicious of the pilot boat's repeated passes. The harbor police were called, and loading stopped. The next day, they continued. In the outer harbor, a container dock that undesirables could not get into. Paul Brown persisted. First, he found a truck driver who agreed to take him in for $100. From the truck's cab, Brown took a stream of photographs of the unloading, the captain, the gunner, the crew, and, most significant of all, 4 Japanese meat inspectors. He also found a forklift truck driver who agreed, for another $100, to hold up the lettering on one of the unloaded packs so that it could be photographed. It was marked in Japanese and also in English, "Fresh quick frozen whale meat." Paul Brown had not yet finished. Another bribe got him a copy of Sierra's manifesto from the harbor authorities. She was carrying 210 tons of frozen whale fillets.